Hey, aloha everyone. Michelle Melendez with Blossom Inner Wellness and StandTogetherHawaii.com. This is also on the Voice of Kona Radio 100.5 FM. And I am here with Michael Tiavana, and he is the author of this book, Beyond Iraq, Surviving Globalization. And before we get started, because we're going to talk about who runs the world and an amazing Hopi prophecy. He was actually at the first Rainbow Gathering in 1970, in the 70s, and he met one of the Hopi elders who gave amazing prophecy that's happening now. So I'm super excited to have you, Michael.
Excited to be here.
I do want to do a quick shout out again to Ace of Coins, who supports this channel. Ace of Coins, ACEOFCOINS. If you want to learn how to lower your taxes, eliminate your taxes lawfully, if you want to learn how to license your image, your face that's being used by big tech, and if you want to also learn how to own cryptocurrency tax-free, go to aceofcoins.com.
I think it's too bright.
Is it too bright? Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so Michael, the first question I have, actually, I'm gonna ask the questions are on the back of his book, and these are: why is everyone talking about globalization? What is it? What are all those acronyms? IMF, NAFTA, and the WHO or WEF, UN, things like that. What does the national security strategy make secure? What does the national security strategy make secure? Because that's something everybody should know about. And what do the Hopis say about the world in these times? So these are the things we're going to talk about today. So Michael, where would you like to start?
Well, your last thing was with the Hopis, and that offers hope. Hopi. And don't worry, be Hopi, is what they say. Just yeah. Before we get into the bad guys, we can start and end with the prophecy, but I'll just mention a few things about it right now. The Hopi believe that we go through worlds, and we're at the end of our fourth world, about to begin the fifth world. And they don't do a chronological clock. They just do things happen to make, they don't say the time of purification is going to be in the year 2000 or anything like that. They just say there'll be a time when the earth needs to cleanse. And the time of purification can last a short time or a long time, but the objective is to have the people on the planet that are not in tune with their nature and the nature all around them. They're not aware of their environment that is affecting them, and their effect on the environment will be separated from the people that are totally in tune with themselves and totally in tune with Mother Nature around them. And then purification will come when the two hearts are separated from the one hearts. The two hearts go away, and then it's the metaphor of the cocoon and the butterfly and caterpillar. So who's going to be a caterpillar cell and who's going to be a butterfly cell? Is it so? And there's some specific things in the prophecy that we see in these times, and there's some things yet to come.
Absolutely. So talking about this world and America. So the United States of America hasn't been the United States of America for a very, very long time. It is now the US corporation, and all these governments and court systems and police stations and education is all corporatized. So can you talk about who are these people that are the corporations, and yeah, starting there, going with the Federal Reserve and understanding the history of that.
Okay, first of all, the corporations and our federal government, their middle management in the overall structure of what's ruling the earth. Our rulers here are, the president and his cabinet and the uh, managers of the 3,000 people involved in the Council of Foreign Relations. The Council of Foreign Relations manages things, they handle things, they carry on things. Who conducts the Council on Foreign Relations is the National Security Agency. The National Security Agency are the handlers of the president, vice president, cabinet, the head of the military, the head of the Pentagon. They run the show. They make sure that the agenda is carried out. Who sets up the agenda? Who's guiding these things? Is the wealthiest people on the planet, where they've made it where wealth, it's not about money. It's just money is a controlling mechanism over the people. They have more money than they'll ever spend. So what I'm talking about is the Rothschild family, the Rockefeller family, the Warburgs, the Harrimans, all these people that meet at the Bilderberg Festival.
Group, the Bilderberg group.
Bilderberg
Yeah.
group every year. They meet at the World Economic Forum, and they've
set it up.
set the agenda for decades and for months and for the next year, and so on. So they set world policy that the governments and the corporations carry out.
Yeah.
And you can talk for a long time of what their tomfoolery is all about, how they're fooling the people.
Yeah, that would be great, because let's start with the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is a foreign banking system. It's not part of the U.S. government. It's actually, the IRS is also foreignly operated. Those are corporations. And so you want to talk a little bit about that?
The Federal Reserve is a predatory loan company. It's made up of 5 separate corporations. It's all privately owned, and yet they control the money in almost all the world, including Russia, including China, Japan, Australia, United States, India. They're all a part of this system that's been set up. Just make note that the estimated wealth of the Rothschild family is $500 trillion. So $500 trillion, it really doesn't matter about balancing budgets. It's pocket change to balance the budget for the United States. If they wanted peace in the world and they didn't want chaos,
we would have it.
We could easily have it. So the way that the Federal Reserve got into the United States, it's been a long-standing thing from day one. You need some money for your Revolutionary War. You need some money for the War of 1812, which was the Great Hemp War. They really, out of the Great Hemp War came Andrew Jackson, who's on a $20 bill. And why is he on a $20 bill? Because he was a hero. And in the 1830s, when he was president, he rejected the requests of this international cabal of bankers to make loans and provide money for the United States. And he rejected them. And they basically shut him down and took him out. They didn't kill him, but he lost his power. And the people appreciated that and put him on the $20 bill, that he stood up to him. Then came a Civil War. Abraham Lincoln stood up to them and didn't take the bait, didn't take the money, the predatory loans. Then came World War I. Prior to World War I was the conference that was held on Jekyll Island, just off the coast of Georgia. And during a matter of a few hours, they came up with a scheme to get into bed with the United States. And at first Wilson rejected it, but then when the war broke out, the pressure came more and more to pay for us to be in that war.
Mhm.
And for other reasons, Wilson gave in to the world bankers. Then things really got dicey, and came to prosperity after World War I, and then they crashed the system in 1929. And that really took root in the early 30s. And when Roosevelt got in there in 1933, he had a recall on the gold in our country. They only got about 20% of the private gold holdings, but the fact that they could do that and wanted to do that is a precedent to, well, what if they're going to call in all the dollars? What if they're going to call in their gold again? And so nothing's really safe from these people, because once they got in power of our and control of our money system in 1913, they can do whatever they want. They're basically behind closed doors, and they make closed door private decisions about our lives and our connection to money. Are we going to have lines of credit? Who's going to get those lines of credit? Are we going to have laws that support the corporations that we use to control the people? And things like that. That's what they talk about, but that doesn't come out in the news. What comes out in the news is, well, we're going to move the interest point up a quarter, or we're going to take it down a quarter. And these things have great effects on our way of life. It constricts or expands the amount of money that we have in our system.
Mhm.
And those people, through the Council on Foreign Relations, are being influenced by the elite, and then they're influencing us right down to the county level,
Yes.
state level, federal level. They're determining what's going on. So I want to interject something.
Yeah.
So when you have something like what's going on in Texas right now, that's significant, because here's a very large state plus 25 other states that are supporting their stand against the federal government, sending troops down to the Texas border. But you're having half of the states standing up to the feds on a military level.
Mhm.
And we have the Texas National Guard, the Missouri National Guard, the North Dakota National Guard. You have these National Guards, which are technically the state's militias against the federal government. If there's a tyrannous acts going on, domestic terrorism going on from the federal government upon the states. And so it's very significant what's going on and how this is being played out.
So what do you, so let's talk a little bit about the World Economic Forum and the United Nations, because a lot of people think the United Nations is all about nations coming together to create peace. And the World Economic Forum also, let's have, let's support each other, but really, yay. But
love you.
the World Economic, so tell us a little bit about the UN and the World Economic Forum.
Well, the UN,
Because you just have to
as
remember, you guys, these people that you just talked about, the banking elite families, there's the ones that created this. It's not the United States government that created this. It's these people, and they have put every single president in place after for the last 20 years, I believe, or longer, because I know Reagan, all of them from Reagan on, but I think there was also Carter. But anyway, these people are the ones that they're not elected by any of us, but yet they're making decisions for our lives, and they're the ones that created the United Nations and the WEF. Go ahead.
so the United Nations, as the WEF, World Economic Forum, do is they put out a very flowery language. So they got this sugar-coated, almost demonic lot on the earth. And I champion the UN Charter. It's well written. It's exactly what the people need and want, and I was into it. But as we see the way it's playing out right now with the UN, they set it up to where 5 countries have a veto power. So it doesn't matter that 145 nations vote for a ceasefire in Israel, in Gaza. All that matters is the US vetoes it. And that takes away any
Takes away their power.
prospect of having peace, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Just like that. They raise their hand, yeah, we object, we veto. And that's not a really good way to set things up, because you can have 1 or 2 countries rule over what's going on the planet in a not very good way.
And that's by design. That's the way they set it up because they wanted everybody to come together for this. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's even by design, by a bigger picture. And if you're going to have a time of purification, you're going to have people declare, are you a human being or are you a non-human being? So the people who support the worst war we've ever witnessed, and it keeps on going, but it makes people decide where they're at. Do they support this war because they want out of fear? Or do they support this war to end out of faith that human morality will prevail? I mean, my God. So the UN and the World Economic Forum have very flowery language. They have a structure set up that it's the agenda, not the people.
Yeah, the agenda for 2030 now, it was 2020, but it sounds really, really, really good. In fact, I'll pull some of it up in a moment. Actually, let's just do that really fast.
Just one thing on
yeah, go ahead.
the agenda. One of the words they push out a lot is equality.
Mhm.
And now we have the woke movement, which is gaining strength and power through these corporations that control us. They have an agenda for equality for people. And their main thing is you're abusing me by calling me a certain name, by saying he or she, you're abusing people. They come on, they made it very confusing, which is the agenda's main weapon. They're weaponizing movements to work against us and to change us.
Mhm.
So this movement of equality ends up in a woke movement, and so so I don't know if you want to go so far as good and evil,
Yeah, absolutely.
but when you go into Target and you see clothing for a baby, and then on the little overalls that you put on the baby, on their backside it says butt on it. So the baby's butt. They're teaching sex to babies, to grade schoolers, to people that have no business being involved in that topic at that age. We lose our innocence as human beings straight off, and then they strip us of our human identities and give us another identity.
Yeah.
So you got the
Actually, let me
WEF up
yeah,
there
let me
on
do a
internet.
screen share. So I'm going to show you what these
Very flowery.
very, very flowery. It looks really great. These are the sorry. Let's see here. This is the Government Office of Sweden, the global goals of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Living. Sustainable living.
Sustainable development, sustainable living, same thing.
Yep. No poverty, zero hunger. Now we were like, yeah, we want that. Good health and well-being, good quality education, gender equality.
That's the woke thing.
Yeah, let's just talk. I'll describe each one in a moment. Clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and decent work and economic growth.
Pick apart.
Yeah, we can do industry, innovation, and infrastructure, reduced inequalities. Oh, there's another equality. So this is in twice. Sustainable cities and communities. responsible consumption and production, climate action, when I've proven in another video, which you can see, which over 1,609 scientists say there's no climate emergency. Life below water, life on land, peace and justice, and strong institutions, strong institutions. It's really interesting that they, this is all law in this picture of peace and the dove. Partnerships for the goals. So what,
The partnerships are the NGOs, which is another way to control the people and make this agenda happen.
yes, so let's just kind of break down a few of these, because here's the thing with good health and well-being. What just happened in 2020? Good health and well-being. So they're going to put these systems in place, and they're saying, oh, this is good health, mandatory V,
mandatory
that's good
vaccination.
health and
That's
well-being.
good health.
They're the ones that are writing the policies for this quality education. Who's the one creating the education? These people. They're the one.
Standardized testing.
Yep, absolutely.
And just to interject, all of these things have the tenets of fascism in them. Standardized testing is one of them.
Yep, yeah. So absolutely no poverty, zero hunger. But where's the food going to come from? So they're burning down the cows, they're burning down the food industries, zero hunger. Hey, but they get to tell us what we get to eat. Like they're
Well,
Eh,
so if anyone's paying any attention, there's over 300 food production factories in this country that have burned down or exploded in the last year and a half. And it's not like these are getting rebuilt. They're down, the company's moving on, and so on. Zero hunger?
yeah,
Give me a break.
yeah.
We're in the midst of them creating a famine.
Yes, they
worldwide
are.
famine. There's famine going on here now. There's funny business in Sri Lanka. There's all across Africa, which has been kept deliberately in poverty. There's no reason why all of Africa should be in poverty. And those people are starving. These are man-made famines. Don't blame the weather. Don't blame the climate. These are man-made catastrophes because of globalization. Let me just say one thing about Ethiopia. Is a food exporting country. They have the highest rate of starvation in the world. 15 to 40 million people are starving to death at any given time in Ethiopia. And they are exporting leather, they're exporting beef, they're exporting most of the herbs in the world. McCormick shilling come out of Ethiopia. And this is all because of the policies of the predatory lenders, these World Bank globalists that have created such an impoverished nation there that to pay off their bills, the interest on their loans, they have to cut down their forests, they have to turn over their farming, they have to turn over their banks, they turn over their tax system. They turned everything over to the globalists. That's how globalists work. And then to justify what they're doing, say, well, there's too many useless eaters on the planet.
Who says that, everybody? Bill, and what's his last name?
The keeper of the gate.
Oh, the gatekeeper.
The gatekeeper.
Yeah. So let's just do a couple. Anything else you want to share around that? Because that was.
No, but it's really important because that's going to affect everybody, including you, are going to potentially go hungry.
People think that, oh, I just want to ignore what happened in Maui, what happened, all over the world. It's not affecting me. It will. It's not, it's coming. That's why I said, you guys, please get your communities and start growing food, start growing your own food. Clean water and sanitation. See, you don't understand is that, or we don't understand, including myself when I learned this, that the money is the military industrial complex is all contracts. There's all contractors. They get to put in their cronies of what clean water is.
Yeah.
And what is clean water? They have fluoride in our water, which
you have to have fluoride to have clean water. So in 1954 they flipped it. Mr. Colgate and Mr. Mellon, that they took over the fluoride in its use. And up until 54, you couldn't have too much fluoride in the water. It was 2 parts per million
Why?
because it gives you disease. It makes your teeth get pitted. You get gout below the knees, edema, all kinds of, it's not good for you. It's the most toxic substance on the planet. And in 1954, because they had their man as the head of the, the head doctor for the country, Dr. Koop was for a while, and they had under his dictate, he flipped it. You have to have at least 2 parts per million of fluoride
Oh
in the
my
water
goodness.
to have healthy water. So you see how they make a mock. It's great that they want clean water, but they make a mockery of the rules and regulations.
And the health of the human body. So this is very disturbing, these goals, because they're the ones that are going to create the policies and the contractors that are going to put this in, like affordable and clean energy. What just happened in Maui, you guys? Maui is set to be the first smart city, and they have a whole agenda. They're actually taking over the entire west coast of Maui to rebuild Lahaina. They have to take over the entire west coast of Maui. But what's going on is the smart cities, because they're saying electronic vehicles and sustainable living, when the cost of electronic vehicles is more than running a car, and the actual companies that make the electric cars use fossil fuels. So they actually can't make an electric car without using fossil fuels. And so it's this and then the decent work. What did the governor of Hawaii say right after the fires? We're looking for ways for the state to acquire the land for workforce housing. Decent workforce. So who wants a decent job? Yeah. So it's very
Well,
interesting. Go ahead.
Hold
Yes.
on there. So what's behind number 8, decent work, economic growth, is a total control of the economy through doling out money every month. It became a
thank
law. It became a guaranteed income. I think it's California just passed a law that says everybody gets $1,000 a month. So basically, you're going to be kept in poverty. You're not going to have a job because you got the $1,000 a month. And this goes for all of the migrants that are coming in, also the immigrants, the immigrants. And so this will be 1984, where people live in these boxes under surveillance. And if they need to go anywhere, they're within 15 minutes, and then they're in another neighborhood. And then you either can't go to the other neighborhoods, or if you do, you can't spend any money there because your money's you can only spend your money in this little pocket of existence.
Of your, yeah.
And you're all going to wear the same clothes. And there's going to be no difference between men and women, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's what we're going to. All equality. Oh, no difference between men and women, wearing the same clothing. It's like people are, when this first started back in 2020 and I started speaking out, people were like, Michelle, you're crazy. Really? Really? Look at.
So there'll be no sexual indicators going on. And and anyone who steps outside of those boundaries, they're making trouble for the whole group. That's whether it's getting a vaccine, whether it's falling in love, any of these things, you're going to be, you're going to be put in jail, and then they're going to try to brainwash you. And then if they can't brainwash you, then there's no hope for you.
You disappear.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's look at a couple more. There are a couple more: industry and innovation and infrastructure. These are their contractors that they get to put in place. What's happening in Maui with the governor who suspended 7 laws before the fires? He suspended the law for government officials to be able to contract. He suspended the historical preservation law. He suspended the sunshine law, where governments, they can now have closed door meetings. And he also created a workforce group for the homeless issue. These were not elected officials. He put them into place for the homeless issue. That was the reason for his proclamation, emergency proclamation, which he was the first governor in history to put an emergency proclamation with no actual emergency. And there was, so yes, but why? Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. They're the ones that get to put this in. And anything you want to say about these three?
Well, you were saying about the swindlers in Maui, and don't forget the insurance company law that says insurance companies don't have to pay out a dividend if there's been a disaster. So that's why they say this was a disaster caused by a 500-mile distant hurricane, which is a bunch of made up stuff. So now the people whose houses got deliberately burned down don't collect insurance. That was a shady law. What disaster happens where it's not?
Or insurance doesn't cover it.
Yeah.
So then this is the sustainable cities and communities that you were talking about with the 15-minute cities, which is what Maui was set in 2011 and 2016. Hawaii and Japanese stakeholders created this agenda for Maui. Sustainable city. It's the first smart city. So anything you want to say about this one?
Well, you know why they're doing it in West Maui is because the place is already designed and set up to be a 15-minute city. I used to have a condominium on Kaanapali, and you know, we hardly used our rent-a-car. Everything was there within 5 minutes. Got the beach, got the ABC store, got the whole thing, restaurants, and so the place is already 15-minute cities, except Lahaina. That's going to be the capital of the 15-minute cities, and all these 15-minute cities on Maui are going to be the poster child models for the rest of the world.
And we do have a say in this. So if you're like, Michelle, give us some good news. Well, we are going to give you some good news in a moment, just like we did at the beginning. So hold on with us, you guys. Number 12, responsible consumption and production. So responsible consumption and production, who gets to decide what that is? That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. These global elites are putting in policies. They have their contractors. This is the wars going on. Everything is moving people toward this. Climate action. And if you go to standtogetherhawaii.com/Maui fires, you can scroll down. You'll see numerous meteorologists, climatologists, scientists around the world that state there's no climate emergency. Do you see the water levels rising? Do you have any town in the world that's underwater now that wasn't underwater a few years ago? The insurance companies, are they not insuring homes on the beach because the homes are going to be underwater in the next 10 years? That's not happening. So, and also anything you want to say about that one? And then life below water. So they also want to control what's under the water. And I'm just saying, here in Hawaii, their fish have definitely are disappearing. That's for sure. There way less fish than there were 20 years ago when my family first got here.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on there, but this is the main thing that's governing our world changing right now is the climate change issue, and they're blaming the victims. The people are the victims of climate change, and yet we're being blamed because we're driving cars, we're breathing CO2, we're eating too much food, eating too much meat, and that's a sign that it's twisted and backwards, because the people to blame are the people at the top that set up these games that they're playing. And as far as climate action goes, I saw a 10-year-old at a protest that had a sign that said, "Climate change is engineered." That means it's engineered by people through vibrations, through nanotechnologies sprayed out of the airplanes in the air, chemtrails, HARP, Doppler radar system, All these things are manipulating the climate, and then they're using that to the poster child that from Sweden, what's her name?
Oh, Greta.
Greta is in the news now almost daily because she's back protesting. They have to have this agenda, this anti-climate change
Story.
agenda, so they can implement putting new taxes on the farmers uh, through taxing diesel fuel, so that makes it you can't farm anymore, taking away the farm subsidies, changing the regulations. So all over Europe, all over North America, uh, farmers are being hit really hard. So that again, that hurts food production. So we're the ones that have to pay for the less food on the planet and less food production. But they're using that whole thing as a game to fool the people.
And what did the Hawaii governor do with the small rental companies, the people are doing Airbnb? He raised their taxes. He can't do that. This is the type of policies that these people think that they have the right to make. And that's actually against the Constitution for him to do that.
Is
So
that in here, housing?
life on land, yeah, they got everything here. Not housing though, but housing is in part of the sustainable cities and communities.
Right.
And also where was it? Clean water. I think it's just sustainable. Yeah, it's sustainable cities and communities was the housing one. Did you want to say something about that?
Well, yeah, the whole movement towards living in smaller spaces is kind of anti-American because all of our lives we've
Been big.
gotten bigger and bigger, but then it gets smaller when they try to make it glamorous to live in a little 200 square foot box.
They're gonna do that. They're gonna have the story and the agenda and the propaganda.
And that fits into where people will be living. They won't be living in the country. They won't be living in the suburbs. They're going to be living in the inner cities, packed in there like they do in Hong Kong and stuff.
Yep.
Americans are going to have a hard time with that.
So let's do the last three: life on land, peace, justice, and strong institutions. I love peace, justice, and strong institutions. This is what we're meaning by taking control and basically being a fascist regime, an authoritative regime. Life on land is to protect. Everything's about protection, you guys. Restore, promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. So when Michael was saying, you know, we're the victims and we're breathing CO2, they're making CO2 be the devil, you know, be bad. Oh, it's too much CO2. Are you freaking kidding me? This Cretaceous period had plants like 5-10 times as big as these guys behind us because there was so much CO2. More CO2 makes things grow better, gives more life to the plants, which is actually supporting us. So I don't hear that argument very much anymore because I think that they realize that most of us know what the heck how important CO2 is. But I am oh, go ahead.
Plants love CO2.
Yes. And then peace, justice, and strong institutions, that number 16.
Whose institutions? Who controls the institutions? Who's been nominated and appointed to be in those institutions? Are these institutions, are they human?
AI. There's a lot of AI. There's actually an AI dog right now. I heard is in San Francisco right now.
In New York, Manhattan.
Manhattan.
And they're patrolling the streets.
That's scary. That's very scary.
Right now, the big invasion that is on a day-to-day basis are the immigrants. They bring them here and they kind of let them loose on us. And now they want to put them in the army, military, and police force and give them guns. But guess what? If they're in the LAPD, they can't take their gun home with them because it's illegal for an illegal alien to have a gun.
Oh my gosh. But they can be in the police force with a gun.
Yeah. So you're going to have an illegal alien with illegal papers checking and asking you for your papers.
Wow.
And that's going to be cute.
Then the last one says partnerships for the goals. Okay, goal 17 is to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalization, the global partnership for sustainable development. Okay, partnership, you guys. What did we just say in 20, did I just say in 2011, 2016? Hawaii and Japan stakeholders, partnerships. Who are these people? There are unelected officials making policies for humanity.
They're yeah, they're not the ones making the policies. They're enforcing them.
Enforcing the policies.
And they're getting the policies through the county council, through the state legislatures to be implemented. There's NGO groups also in place to foster a cause that is not really sustainable. Their cause is basically death to the planet, death to humans. So when you look at Harari, who is the number one advisor to Klaus Schwab at the head of the World Economic Forum, and he thinks that as the computers come on board, what are humans going to do? He calls us useless eaters. We're going to be useless human beings. And that's going to be the problem that these elites are focusing on. There's too many people on the planet, period. We need to get rid of people. How are we going to do that? So the great die-off has begun. I encourage people to don't have fear and fall into the fear bath, but stay strong in who you are and know that the time of purification is upon us. Don't be one of the ones that's being purified. Be one of the ones that's going to carry on and build the butterfly after the caterpillar is dissolved and gone.
So how can people do that the best? Like, what's the best way that what anything else about the Hopi prophecy? Because you were reading something in your book before we started, which is really good.
Well, it is the prophecy when they came here was etched in a big rock outside of Arabai. And
You can read whatever you want if you want.
I'll just, can you see that?
I can take it there. This one right here.
Right there. Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. You have, here's where we started in the fourth world. And these are the symbols in the two world wars. And these are the two world wars. This is the physical lineage right here. And these are Bahanas. At this point here, the brother of one of the chiefs of the tribe went off to the east to develop technology that would help life on the planet for the rest of the Hopis. But in doing so, over here, he would have two hearts. He'd be thinking with his head, materialistic, money, things like that, and not so much with his heart. If you're thinking with your heart, you're a one-heart person and you will survive. If you're a two-hearted person, you're not going to make it. And that's what this squiggly line is up here. Anyway,
This one right here.
yeah, that just goes off into chaos. These are all the two-hearted people going off into chaos. These are the one-hearted people. Where are we at? These are the one-hearted people here. You see, those are stalks of corn. And there's grandfather David with his planting stick. And I planted corn on the Hopi reservation. And it's amazing the energy that goes into the ground is the fertilizer. They're planting in sand, but they're connected to the life force of, it's good.
And what is this one?
Of the planet. That's the four directions.
Okay.
Basically, it's a little bit different than what we're talking about. But remember, when they came back with the technology, some of it was good. Right now, most of the homes in Hopi land have solar energy on them. However, they sent their children, I mean, as opposed to getting electricity from Peabody Coal Company, strip mining the land and sending everything off to the Farmington power plant and then sending it back in wires. That's not the way to go. The people that will survive will know themselves. They'll know their own nature. They'll know how they relate to nature, and they'll be guided by their calling and their destiny. They'll have destiny on their side. And to think of living on the planet on that level gives you incredible powers to persevere and ward off the anger and the hatred and the fear that's being put out there on a daily basis. So stay calm, stay cool, stay in love, and love will prevail.
And the last thing I want to say about that is also take action. Do what you're inspired to do. If you please join standtogetherhawaii.com, because I do give actions when we can take them. And our government officials are not, they're not listening to any of the testimonies. You know, the last one was 3381, which is a total fascist bill that they're putting through to literally take over West Maui. And there was 220 people opposing, 16 people supported, and they put it through. Why? Because how can they do that when their oath of office literally states that they'll defend and support the Constitution, and that is against the Constitution to go against the people? The reason why they can do that is because our governments are a corporation, not they're not part of the government. This is why the governor can walk out of a meeting and ignore the people. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, a different form of government, one that is truly of and for and by the people, is forthcoming. We see rebellion all over the place now. Canada, the truckers are now on another drive to Ottawa, and they just declared what they did 2 years ago to the truckers by freezing their bank accounts was illegal. That's the Canadian Supreme Court just came out with that ruling, I think, yesterday. And there's a lot of court rulings that are going against the agenda. The only way this Great Reset Agenda 2030 is going to happen is if there's such chaos like a world war. And it certainly looks like the United States and Israel are trying to
They're trying.
kick up a world war. John Lennon said it best when he said, "What if they gave a war and nobody came?" And so we'll wait till they get the draft back. Then we'll see a reaction amongst our young people.
Yeah, and
they're not gonna buy into this next war.
That's the thing too. We don't buy in. We don't comply. We stand with what we know to be true, and that is that we are from the creator of whatever you want to call the higher being, who created the beautiful plants behind us, who created our bodies, who's breathing our bodies and beating our hearts. We have unalienable rights from our creator, not from the government, and obviously not from the US corporation, which is not a government. So we don't comply. We stand up when we can, and we get out of the system as much as possible. And so again, please join standtogetherhawaii.com. I do have a freedom school. There's lots of freedom schools, and I think I'm going to put them as many as I can on my freedom school, so you guys can look around and see what's out there. So I just want to say mahalo so much, Michael. Any last words?
My pleasure. Let's see. Be loud and be proud, and know yourself and know your connection to nature. The best way to do that is to be out in nature. And I hope you all get to spend more time, if not all the time, in the country, in the wild.
And grow food. Start growing food. Start getting to know your farmers and your neighbors. Let's do a quick prayer, and then we'll be pow. Great Spirit, infinite intelligence of all things, we are in quite a world right now, and we just know that you are guiding every step of the way. Anybody who's listening to this video right now, you have guided them to this video and or on the radio. And we just know, Great Spirit, that we get to watch as things unfold for those who do not care about humanity, that they are peaceably removed from office or that they voluntarily step down. And we get to watch as things unfold, or this caterpillar is transforming into this amazing butterfly, that we all get to experience this world in a peaceful way, with unifying together under one heartbeat of humanity, knowing that every single person around the planet deserves peace, deserves safety, deserves abundance, deserves love. And we know that that is happening, Great Spirit. And we just give so much gratitude for guiding each one of us, for sending angels and our spirit guides to whisper in our ears to tell us what is our kuleana, what is ours to do next. And Great Spirit, we are so grateful for the opportunity to be here on the planet right now as the world turns into a peaceful, loving place. And so it is.
So let it be.
Let it be. All right, you guys. Much aloha from the Big Island.